Pets are cherished members of our families, and we often expect unconditional love in return. While this is usually the case, sometimes these relationships can take a surprising turn. This video explores some truly unbelievable cases of pets that tragically attacked and consumed their owners, showcasing the unexpected and sometimes terrifying realities of animal behavior. The deadly reptile. Owning a venomous snake, particularly a black mamba, carries significant risks. Renowned for their potent venom and aggressive nature, black mambas are among the most dangerous snakes on Earth. Even experienced herpetologists consider them a formidable challenge. Their venom can cause death within hours if left untreated. Alita Stacy from Putnam Lake, New York, had a deep fascination with snakes, leading her to amass a collection of over 70 reptiles. Among them was a black mamba, a species notorious for its aggression and venomous bite. Despite warnings from others, Stacy maintained a close relationship with her snakes. Tragically, the danger became all too real. One day, Stacy's boyfriend found her unconscious at home. The black mamba had escaped its enclosure due to an improperly secured padlock. In a horrifying turn of events, the snake bit Stacy on the forearm. Given the black mamba's highly toxic venom and its rapid action, survival chances were slim. Despite swift medical intervention, Stacy succumbed to the venom's potent effects. This tragic incident underscores the inherent risks associated with keeping highly venomous snakes as pets. The black mamba attack serves as a stark reminder that even seemingly secure enclosures can fail, and that situations can turn fatal quickly. While the allure of exotic pets might be strong, it's crucial to fully understand and accept the dangers and responsibilities involved in their care. The monitor lizard tragedy. When it comes to keeping exotic pets, some choices are undeniably more dangerous than others. Ronald Huff, an enthusiast of reptiles, had a particular passion for monitor lizards. Known for their impressive size and formidable claws, monitor lizards are among the most dangerous reptiles in their natural habitats. They have been known to hunt and overpower animals much larger than themselves, including kangaroos. Their venomous bites and sharp claws make them a significant risk, and they are rarely kept as pets due to these dangers. Despite the risks, Ronald's fascination with these reptiles led him to keep several monitor lizards at his home. His choice was met with skepticism and concern from family and friends. For a period, Ronald had been out of contact with his loved ones, which was unusual and raised alarm. A concerned neighbor eventually requested a welfare check from the local sheriff's department. When the authorities arrived at Ronald's residence, they initially faced difficulties. They knocked on the door but received no response, although they could hear sounds from inside. The door seemed to be jammed, prompting the officers to force their way in. What they found inside was both tragic and unsettling. Ronald Huff had collapsed against the door, having passed away under distressing circumstances. The most shocking part of the scene was the presence of his monitor lizards. 7 of these dangerous reptiles were found crawling over Ronald's lifeless body, feeding on him. This grisly discovery horrified the officers and left them deeply disturbed. The investigation into Ronald's death revealed that he had likely fallen ill suddenly. As he attempted to seek help, one of his monitor lizards attacked him, leading to a fatal outcome. The incident serves as a stark reminder of the inherent risks involved in keeping such dangerous animals as pets. Monitor lizards, with their potent combination of aggression and venom, pose serious risks not only to their owners, but also to those around them. The wildebeest tragedy. You might recall the dramatic wildebeest stampede scene from The Lion King, which highlighted these animals' impressive and sometimes chaotic nature. In reality, wildebeests can be just as formidable and aggressive as tragically evident in a case involving a pet wildebeest. Klaus Dierender, a passionate animal lover, decided to bring a baby wildebeest into his home, raising it alongside his other exotic pets such as llamas, emus, reindeer, and ostriches. This was not an unusual choice for Klaus, who had a history of caring for various wild animals. The young wildebeest, like many growing animals, had occasional bouts of hyperactivity, but Klaus dismissed these as typical behaviors. The wildebeest's excitement seemed to escalate as it matured, and Klaus even facilitated breeding by introducing a female wildebeest. The pair successfully produced a baby wildebeest, further reinforcing Klaus's attachment to them. On December 5, 2004, Klaus went out to the barnyard where the wildebeests were kept. His wife grew concerned when Klaus did not return home around noon. Initially assuming he was out for a walk or running errands, she started to worry after he missed lunch and didn't answer calls. Venturing out to the barnyard to investigate, she was met with a horrifying sight. Klaus was found lying on the ground, severely injured and unresponsive. Emergency services were called, but despite their efforts, Klaus had succumbed to his injuries. The subsequent investigation revealed that Klaus's death was the result of an unfortunate and dangerous encounter with his pet wildebeest. The wildebeest, which was unusually aggressive due to the mating season, had reacted violently after Klaus inadvertently provoked it. During the attack, the wildebeest charged at Klaus repeatedly, striking him in the chest and head. This tragic incident underscores the potential dangers of keeping wild animals as pets. Wildebeests, with their powerful build and unpredictable nature, are not suited for domestic environments. The deadly cassowary. The cassowary is often regarded as the most dangerous bird in the world, a reputation well earned due to its aggressive nature and formidable physical attributes. Native to northern Australia, New Guinea, and nearby islands, this flightless bird is known for its powerful legs and razor-sharp talons. These features make it a creature to be reckoned with, even for the most seasoned wildlife experts. Marvin Hajos, a 75-year-old Texan with a deep passion for exotic birds, found himself at the center of a tragic incident involving one such bird. Hajos was an accomplished breeder who had successfully bred ostriches, emus, and cassowaries, becoming the first in the US to achieve this feat. Despite his extensive experience, a tragic accident led to his demise. One day while observing his cassowaries, Hajos stumbled and fell. The sudden movement startled one of the large birds, which then perceived Hajos as a threat. In a burst of aggression, the cassowary attacked using its powerful talons to inflict severe wounds. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Hajos managed to call 911 in a desperate bid for help. The call was chilling, capturing his fear and urgency as he requested an ambulance. Rescue teams faced significant difficulty accessing Hajos due to the aggressive bird, which continued to obstruct their efforts. After several tense minutes, they managed to retrieve Hajos and transport him to the hospital. Unfortunately, the injuries proved fatal, and Hajos did not survive. The deer attack. Many of us associate deer with gentle, serene imagery from childhood stories and movies. However, deer, particularly in their more aggressive forms, can exhibit dangerous behavior. Gerald Rushton, an avid deer enthusiast, experienced this harsh reality firsthand. Rushton kept several deer on his property, including European red stags, known for their impressive antlers and powerful build. Despite their majestic appearance, these deer can become aggressive, particularly during certain times of the year. On one fateful day, Rushton entered the deer pen to feed his animals, inadvertently startling them. The 500-pound red stag, agitated by Rushton's sudden appearance, charged at him. The deer's powerful body slammed into Rushton, knocking him down and causing him to fall backward. The stag then attacked, using its sharp antlers to pin Rushton against the fence. The violence of the attack escalated as the stag stomped on Rushton, inflicting severe injuries. Emergency services arrived swiftly but were hindered by the aggressive deer. Authorities made the difficult decision to euthanize the animal to allow rescuers to reach Rushton. Sadly, by the time help arrived, Rushton had already succumbed to his injuries. This tragic incident serves as a stark reminder that even seemingly docile animals can pose significant risks. While deer may appear gentle, they are wild animals with inherent instincts for self-preservation and territoriality. The wapiti incident. The wapiti, a rare hybrid between a red deer and an elk, is an exotic animal that can be quite appealing to wildlife enthusiasts due to its rarity. This was certainly the case for Pat MacDonald, an Australian who kept a wapiti in an enclosure on his property. The appeal of owning such a unique creature, however, proved to be dangerously misguided. On a routine day, MacDonald was feeding the wapiti while his wife and teenage son were inside the house. Suddenly, they heard MacDonald scream. Recognizing something was wrong, his family rushed outside to find MacDonald being attacked by the wapiti. In a frantic attempt to save her husband, MacDonald's wife, Mandy, entered the enclosure but was also targeted by the aggressive animal. Their son, Ethan, ran back inside to call the police while Mandy tried to defend herself with whatever was at hand. The situation was dire, but luck was on their side as a nearby ambulance officer who happened to be at the scene intervened just in time. Police arrived and had to tranquilize the wapiti to safely retrieve Mandy. She was then taken to a nearby hospital but required airlifting to a more equipped facility due to the severity of her injuries. Experts believe that the wapiti's aggressive behavior may have been driven by hormonal changes or a perceived threat from its owner. This incident serves as a stark reminder of the unpredictability of wild animals, even those that are raised in captivity, and the inherent risks involved in keeping such exotic pets. The mountain lion dilemma. Mountain lions, also known as cougars or pumas, are powerful and elusive predators. Their presence in the wild is often a cause for concern due to their strength and hunting prowess. Despite these inherent risks, some individuals choose to keep them as pets. Amber Michelle Couch from Texas is one such person who took on this dangerous endeavor. In Texas state law, keeping mountain lions as pets is allowed, provided the owner has the proper permits and maintains up-to-date vaccinations and health checks. Unfortunately, Amber failed to comply with these regulations. Her mountain lion was not receiving the necessary vaccinations, and despite multiple warnings from friends and authorities, she continued to neglect its care. The lion was housed in a cramped cage, which likely contributed to its agitated and unpredictable behavior. Tragically, the situation reached a breaking point when Amber's young nephew accidentally came too close to the cage. The mountain lion, feeling threatened or agitated, attacked the child, inflicting severe facial injuries. The boy survived the attack, but required an extended hospital stay for his recovery. This incident prompted immediate intervention from the authorities, who seized the mountain lion and issued multiple citations against Amber for her negligence. Among the consequences, Amber was barred from owning pets without demonstrating proper care and compliance with legal standards. The mountain lion was ultimately euthanized to ensure the safety of others. Mountain lions are apex predators with powerful instincts, and keeping them in captivity can be extremely dangerous for both the animal and humans. The monkey rage. Monkeys are often seen as playful and entertaining pets, but their behavior can be unpredictable and sometimes dangerous. Naga Muhammad, a 72-year-old man from Malaysia, had a pet monkey that was reportedly his constant companion. Naga and the monkey shared a unique bond, engaging in activities like climbing coconut trees and retrieving coconuts, which was a routine part of their daily life. One fateful day, Naga decided to perform their usual coconut gathering routine. He had promised his 29-year-old son, Mood, that he would bring some coconuts back as usual. Naga hoisted the monkey up into the tree, expecting it to perform its usual task of collecting coconuts. However, something went terribly wrong. Instead of working as it normally did, the monkey attacked Naga with a sudden burst of aggression. In a shocking turn of events, the monkey bit Naga on the arm with such force that it severed an artery. The resulting injury led to Naga's death. When Mood noticed his father's prolonged absence and the unusual silence, he went outside to check on them. Upon discovering the horrific scene, he too became a target of the monkey's aggression, though he managed to survive the attack. Neighbors were alerted to the situation and called the authorities. The monkey was subsequently captured and taken into custody. After being assessed, it was decided that the monkey would be rehabilitated and reintroduced into the wild. The catastrophic cat incident. Sometimes the most unexpected situations arise when pets are pushed to their limits. This was the case for Janet V., a woman who found solace in the company of her numerous cats and dogs after her husband left a year earlier. With no children to care for, Janet's life revolved around her pets, who were her primary companions. Janet's reclusive nature meant she had minimal contact with neighbors. As weeks went by without any sign of Janet, her accumulating mail caught the attention of concerned locals. Realizing that she hadn't been seen for several days, they decided to call the authorities for a welfare check. The police faced considerable difficulty entering Janet's home due to the overgrown vegetation and clutter. Eventually, an officer had to scale a ladder to access a window and make entry. Inside, they discovered a tragic and disturbing scene. Janet had passed away due to a medical condition, and her body had been left unattended for some time. The house was filled with the smell of decay, and the officers were met with a grim sight. While some of Janet's cats had survived, they had done so under dire circumstances. With no other food source, they had resorted to consuming parts of her body. The surviving cats were eventually taken to a local animal shelter where they received medical care and were adopted out. The hidden tiger of Harlem. In a shocking turn of events, Antoine Yates demonstrated just how dangerous keeping exotic pets can be. Yates, an avid admirer of big cats, secretly kept a Siberian Bengal tiger named Ming in his Harlem apartment. His fascination with these majestic animals led him to house Ming in a high-rise building, a decision fraught with peril. The authorities were initially unaware of Ming's existence until Yates sought medical attention at an emergency room. He arrived with severe lacerations on his arm, claiming they were caused by a pitbull. However, the nature and severity of the injuries suggested that they were inflicted by a much larger animal. It soon became apparent that Ming had attacked Yates after he attempted to intervene in a dispute between the tiger and another pet. A month later, an anonymous tip to the NYPD reported a wild animal causing disturbances. This led the police to investigate Yates's apartment. When they arrived, they encountered Ming, who was agitated and growling. Extracting a tiger from a confined apartment was no easy task. The officers had to use tranquilizers to subdue Ming, a process that was both complex and risky. Yates, unfazed by the danger, insisted that Ming was only acting out of fear and that he would keep the tiger again if given the chance. Despite his claims, the authorities seized Ming and relocated her to a sanctuary in Ohio. There, Ming lived out her remaining days in a more suitable environment, eventually passing away peacefully. The fatal fury of Scarface. Pit bulls often face misconceptions about their temperament, but Scarface's case took things to an extreme. Scarface was a rescue dog adopted by Brenda and Ishmael Guerrero, who were determined to rehabilitate him despite his troubled past. Unfortunately, their efforts to help him heal met with a tragic outcome. One day, while Mrs. Guerrero was attempting to dress Scarface in a sweater, the dog suddenly attacked her. Her husband rushed to her aid, but Scarface turned on him as well. Their son, desperate to protect his parents, tried to intervene with a knife, but even that wasn't enough to subdue the aggressive dog. Frightened neighbors and the Guerreros themselves eventually called 911. The response team struggled to control Scarface. Initially, they used a taser, but the dog's aggression only intensified. They were forced to deploy tranquilizers to safely subdue him. Despite these efforts, Scarface was ultimately euthanized to prevent any further harm. Mrs. Guerrero was hospitalized and required weeks of treatment for her injuries. The tragic fate of Harry and Sally. The story of Harry and Sally, two beloved pugs from Omaha, is a somber reminder of the bond between pets and their owners. After the sudden death of their owner, who had no friends or family, the two dogs were left alone in the home without anyone to care for them. Harry and Sally faced a harrowing struggle for survival. The dogs initially tried to make do without food, but as days turned into weeks, their hunger became unbearable. In a desperate and tragic turn of events, Harry and Sally began to consume their deceased owner's body. It wasn't until neighbors noticed that they hadn't seen the owner for some time that authorities were alerted. When the police arrived, they found the deceased owner and took Harry and Sally into custody. The pugs were eventually transferred to a shelter run by the Nebraska Humane Society. Despite the horrifying circumstances they endured, Harry and Sally were adopted by a caring couple from Indiana, offering them a new loving home. This story highlights the depth of animal loyalty and the dire consequences of neglect. The chilling encounter with the black widow spider. If you thought the previous stories were unsettling, Mark Vogel's experience will truly send shivers down your spine. Vogel, a 30-year-old man from Germany, had a fascination with insects and arachnids, amassing a collection of over 200 creatures, including several deadly spiders. Among them was the notorious black widow spider, known for its potent venom. One fateful day, Vogel was bitten by one of these dangerous spiders. Living alone and unable to reach out for help, he succumbed to the effects of the venom. It wasn't until months later, prompted by neighbors who had grown concerned about his absence, that police discovered his apartment. The officers were met with a horrifying scene. Mark Vogel's body was covered in his own pets, who had been feeding on him in the absence of other food sources. The discovery was so disturbing that it took hours for the police and animal services to clear the apartment. The surviving spiders and other insects were relocated to a conservation area, and Mark Vogel was finally laid to rest. The tragic attack of Travis, the chimpanzee. Travis, a chimpanzee taken in as an infant by Sandra and Jerome Herald, was given a loving home where he received much care and attention, especially from Sandra after Jerome's passing. Despite being a cherished member of the Herald family, Travis's unpredictable behavior led to several escapes from his enclosure, causing anxiety in the community. Sandra, however, chose not to return Travis to the wild or make necessary adjustments to his care, believing she could manage his quirks. The situation took a dire turn one day when Travis managed to escape again. After receiving medication and Xanax for his Lyme disease, Sandra called her close friend Charla Nash for help in luring the chimp back inside. Tragically, when Charla tried to use Travis's favorite toy to coax him, the chimpanzee became agitated and launched a vicious attack. Travis bit Charlotte's hands and inflicted severe scratches on her body. Sandra attempted to intervene with a knife, but this only escalated Travis's aggression. In sheer panic, Sandra fled to her car and dialed 911. The emergency responders were initially skeptical of the distressing report, but eventually arrived to find a horrifying scene. They had no choice but to shoot Travis to end the attack. Charla Nash was rushed to the hospital where she underwent emergency surgery, ultimately requiring a face transplant. Although Charla survived, the traumatic incident left her deeply scarred, and she has since advocated for stricter laws regarding the ownership of wild animals. The deadly bond between Maurice and Humphrey. Maurice Els, a retired army major and farmer, formed an unusual bond with a baby hippo named Humphrey. Despite numerous warnings about the dangers of keeping a hippo as a pet, Els was convinced of the special connection he shared with Humphrey. The hippo was raised on Els's extensive farm, where the two often played together and even swam in a local river. Humphrey's more aggressive instincts eventually surfaced. Els's nephew, Johan, was attacked by the hippo during one of these interactions, but Els downplayed the incident, insisting it was an isolated event. Unfortunately, Els's optimism proved fatal. In November 2011, Els went to check on Humphrey and failed to return. His family, growing worried, searched the area and discovered Els's body floating in the river. An investigation revealed that Humphrey had attacked Els, dragging him into the water and inflicting fatal bites. Although Humphrey didn't consume Els, the severe injuries led to his death. The fatal consequences of owning a bear. Kellyanne Walls and her husband Michael were known for their love of animals, which led them to adopt a black bear as a pet. Despite the bear being housed in a cage, the Walls' decision to keep such a dangerous animal came with severe consequences. One day, while Kellyanne was inside the cage cleaning and feeding the bear, it suddenly turned on her. The bear attacked Kellyanne, scratching her severely. Neighbors and their children witnessed the horrifying event and immediately sought help. Unfortunately, Kellyanne's injuries proved too severe, and she passed away before any aid could arrive. The incident left her family and community in mourning, highlighting the risks associated with owning such a wild and potentially dangerous animal. The grizzly bear attack on Timothy Treadwell. Timothy Treadwell, an avid bear enthusiast, was known for his controversial practice of living among grizzly bears in Katmai National Park. In 2003, Treadwell and his girlfriend went on a camping trip to observe these magnificent creatures up close. Their journey took a tragic turn when one of the grizzlies attacked them, possibly while Treadwell was setting up a camera. The couple's absence was noted by Willie Fulton, an air taxi pilot who had arranged their transportation. Concerned, Fulton visited their campsite only to find it abandoned with signs of a bear attack. Authorities were called in, and they eventually discovered the remains of Treadwell and his girlfriend, having had to tranquilize the bears to do so. The horrific event was partially captured on tape, which later became infamous for its disturbing content. The recording showed the final moments of Treadwell and his girlfriend, but due to its graphic nature, only a few individuals dared to listen to it. Python peril. In another unsettling case involving exotic pets, Jiren Hare and Charles Darnell from the United States faced a devastating situation with their pet Burmese python. Burmese pythons are large, non-venomous constrictors that can grow to impressive lengths. Despite lacking venom, they can still inflict serious harm, particularly when not properly contained. The couple's pet, An 8-foot-long albino Burmese python was kept in a makeshift enclosure covered with a quilt and secured with only safety pins. This inadequate setup allowed the python to escape. The situation was exacerbated by the couple's negligence and their use of various medications and stimulants which impaired their ability to properly supervise and care for their pet. In the early hours of a fateful night in 2009, the python escaped its enclosure and entered the room of the couple's young daughter. Tragically, the python attacked the toddler, resulting in her death. The horrifying discovery was made the next morning when Darnell found both the snake and the child in the room. Overcome with grief and anger, Darnell struck the snake and called for emergency assistance. Unfortunately, the authorities could not save the child. Following the incident, the Burmese python was relocated to an Air Force base, where it was reportedly used in training exercises. Both Hare and Darnell faced legal consequences for their negligence. Their actions were deemed grossly irresponsible, and they were sentenced to prison. This case tragically highlights the severe risks associated with keeping large and potentially dangerous reptiles in inadequate conditions. Do you still trust your beloved pet, or are you a little more worried now? Let us know in the comments below. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoy the video, please let us know by clicking the like button, do share, write a comment, and don't forget to subscribe.